Hello guys and welcome to 7.3.5, basically the tech quest, which is what I thought when I first looked at the nodes. However, this really isn't the case. So the nodes on here are technical suppression. Whenever you, as a tech, or whenever a tech attacker activates a special attack, they have a 100% chance to heal block. If the defender was already heal blocked, the attacker instead gains a fury buff. So obviously you gain furies if you're really chaining special attacks. Grudge, while the defender is suffering from a heal block or power lock, the attacker gains 100% combat power rate. Whenever a heal block or power lock expires on the defender, they gain a passive non-stacking debuff immunity. That was a real mouthful, that one. Picture of health, the defender is immune to regenerate modification and aggression regeneration. Every 2 seconds, gain a regeneration passive. When struck, reset the time. So obviously you want to keep hitting them, basically stay as aggressive as possible so they don't gain those regenerations. And when they do, try and get a lot of hits here. So what I should have done was bring in Quicksilver. Literally just thinking of that now, reading those nodes, his build up of combo meter would be perfect. The 3 hits for 1 would have knocked that regeneration down straight away. However, tech champions do work, especially when they're getting that heal block. Champions I used on this path was Warlock and Ultron, and then obviously you saw that I had Rintra, Gallon, of course, was in there. However, I'd highly recommend Ghost, Warlock, Ultron, Nimrod, Sentinel with a heal block, Dr. Octopus, Darkhawk, and then also champs with heal block in there. So CGR, I believe, has a heal block. Archangel can alter heal block, healing. Or you stay really aggressive and you bring in like a Hercules or a Nick Fury. They all work really nicely for this path as well. So going into it, the fights are long. This is another long video. They too start to get progressively longer and longer the more you, the further you go in. But it's not a, the attackers on here are very easy, especially if you bring a Warlock. You've got Jubilee, then Ronan, then you've got Mr. Sinister. So it's that path, the one that you want to go along. Obviously, the Mr. Sinister is very easy if you have Warlock. Warlock is obviously an absolute MVP for this one because while infected, the opponent can't, or the defender can't regen anyway. So it's basically perfect for him. You just want to take in this one. I would say that the hardest fight in this is maybe the Ronan, because of his evades that he gets at some points. But Ultron works really nicely. So does as I just said, Warlock. Nimrod would work really good, and so would a lot of tech attackers, so they are the key. However, I'll show you later on that this isn't necessary. You can bring in, say, Rintra. Like I said, Quicksilver would have been quite handy for this because of his basic attacks and combo build-up, just because it means that you only got to stay aggressive and they don't regen anyway. But the Fury does help, so tech attackers will definitely benefit you. But if you for example, I've got one really good tech champ in Warlock. My next best is sort of Hulkbuster, which I do think is a really good champ, but he's still only max level rank 1, so I just bring in my 5-star Ultron. So Rintra and Null are also there to sort of try and block the healing where possible, but obviously they can't alter the regen rate, so Rintra neutralize doesn't work, and nor does I'm not 100% sure if Null's corruption does or not, but they're still just there to stay aggressive, stay unblockable, or sort of stay hitting into them. Unblockable champs work, so Shang-Chi would work for this because obviously if you've got a regen rate on but they're blocking, you can just hit straight through that. So at the end of the day, this isn't one of the harder paths. This is one of the easiest, in my opinion. It is quite simple. I do believe that 7.3.4 is the hardest path of the 7.3 of the chapter. I think 7.3.6 with the Kang is quite easy. I've had to do that one twice, but you will see that in tomorrow's video. But let's not get sidetracked here. Let's jump onto this video. As I said, you've got a lot of great new champs for this as well, like Shuri would work for this. Basically any tech attacker would work, or champs with heal block, so even off the top of my head, Yondu. I know I have a Yondu with, and he has heal block on his SP1. Obviously, another tech attacker, Proxima Midnight, has heal block on her special one. Just champs with heal block work really, really nicely, and aren't somebody sort of to turn your nose up. These fights are relatively easy. The hardest fight on here is maybe this Ronin, or you do get a Rhino and an Apocalypse, but those fights can be taken off quite easy. If you've got the right counters, which for example, if you had Warlock and Ghost, you could probably do this with just 2 champs, and then you bring 3 champs who specialize in the boss. The boss for this path, actually coincidentally, is Warlock. There is 2 choices, I would say. You've got Cable with increased regen and power gain. However, if you know my videos, you know I hate power gain, and I hate champs who gain power quickly, so I end up going with a Warlock. I'd much rather use 2 revives on a Warlock fight than I would a fight against Cable, just because he's so annoying and I really, really can't be bothered to fight him. I'd rather just fight a Warlock and take a few degen damage from that. But you'll see that actually does not go as badly as maybe you would think, since Warlock is such a good defender. But obviously we'll get onto that fight when we get down to it. As I said, this Mr. Sinister fight, very easy. He basically constantly loses his power because he's always regenerating from crits. I would say, especially for Mr. Sinister, I just don't even bother throwing. As soon as I got some SP3, I just couldn't really be bothered. I just thought I may as well do a lot of damage this way, and that still takes his power down, so I didn't even need to use sort of the massive power burn that, or the power drain that is on Warlock's SP3. So again, relatively easy fight. Like I said, these fights are quickened up. Like, this is a 145 hit fight, and it's easy, and it's an easy Mr. Sinister fight. So these fights are really long. All my champs here in my deck are rank 3s, except from obviously the Ultron, who's still a 5-star. But you can see that Ultron, he can do the fights. It just takes maybe a few boosts or anything like that. Then you've got the Rhino. Who am I going to vote for? I did vote White Tiger. I've given 2 votes to Gladiator already. I thought I'd pop one to White Tiger. I just think I saw Seaton's little clip about Gladiator while watching his live stream, and just saying we don't need a knockoff Hercules. We want somebody who's, is White Tiger going to be a knockoff White Tiger? Is it going to be a knockoff Tigra? Maybe, but that Gladiator bio is literally a knockoff Hercules. So I do like his confidence, and I don't really care who wins. So at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference to me at all. So I would say, remember for this fight, for this Rhino, he will, every time he dashes, he will get unstoppable and occasionally unblockable. Get him into the corner, make him throw his special attacks. Don't constantly parry him, and this shouldn't be too big an issue. I end up just using Gallon for this because, as you see there, I get slapped by his heavy attack somehow, and Null goes down. So it's just a relatively simple Gallon fight for me on this one. Again, another easy fight, so I'm going to leave this one, and I'm going to just see you at the Apocalypse fight, because that is sort of the hardest fight of the next 3 fights. So for this Apocalypse, you do want to either bring in your best champ, a Warlock or Ghost would work really well. But I was sort of saving, my Warlock was quite low. I thought maybe I'll need him again in this. In hindsight, I probably should have just used him. But at that time, I thought I was going to go to the Cable boss, so I was saving him. However, when I actually got to the character select, I decided I'd rather take on the Warlock and did it that way instead. For the Apocalypse, yeah, you just want to make sure that you his special attacks are long, so Warlock would have been perfect for this, and I don't really understand why I bought in Gallon, but so is the way it's done. I do have to do a couple harvests with him, but it's not the end of the world. As you can see, I'll use I think I maybe use a revive on this fight. I can't remember entirely. But it's just, it's just one of those, again, as with you saw in yesterday's video with the quests, they're long, they are sometimes, you might make a mistake, that's okay. If you need to use a revive, that's fine, I don't want to come in these videos, play them 100, perfectly and say, you know what, guys, you should all be playing your fights perfectly as well. It's very easy, because it's not, it's easy to go wrong. It's not easy to always be doing, your absolute best. If you go wrong occasionally, that's fine. That's what units are for. That's what revives are for. And when else would when else are you going to really smash revives if not for the really high content like Act 7, like Act 8, like Grandmaster's Gauntlet, like Eternity of Pain? That's what your revives are for. Maybe if this was the side quest, I would just say just restart. It's not that deep. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I definitely use a revive here. I already remember right now. So, and again, it's a lot of hits. You will go wrong. Don't take it to heart. That's just the way. That's the way it goes. If you're happy to use revives. Like I just said, that's the way you should go. But because this Apocalypse does constantly regen because of his long special attacks, so he is very, very annoying. That is all my sort of tips for the Apocalypse fight. A Ghost would work lovely here. So would Warlock with his preventing regen and use it to sort of mitigate the power that Apocalypse gains. But we'll jump into the Apocalypse fight next, and I'll run you through the nodes that he has on him and who might be the best counters for that fight. So on this Warlock, there are a few nodes, but they're not mega tricky. You've got Bubble Shield, so obviously after 10 blocks, his next attack is unblockable, whether he hits you or not. So obviously you have to really watch out for that, but that isn't too big an issue. You've got Ebb and Flow Heavy, so he has the protection on unless you knock him down. And it also gives you a Cruelty passive, which will increase your crits. So that can really help. And then you've also got Specialist 2, Redlining, and Stage Fright. So with the Redlining, you've got... really need to stop saying you've got... But he has... I've completely lost train of thought now. I've tried to make a joke while recording. Yeah, he's got Redlining. So after... if you have more power than he does, he power drains you when you get your SP2. So basically, you cannot throw SP3s unless you've got Magneto. Then you can occasionally throw them, but he doesn't actually work that well because of the suicide masteries, meaning that you take quite a bit of damage from his infected degeneration, so it's probably not worth bringing that in. There's also Specialist 2. Specialist 2 is your special 2s do way more damage, and Stage Fright, which is the Stage Fright being the node where you cannot throw your special attack any sooner than 15 seconds after. So if you do, then you get some direct damage, dealing quite a lot of damage to you. Wow, I'm really messing up here on the Warlock explanation, but it's not too tricky. Champs who really work in this one, Hercules obviously is really good. Magneto can work, but is a bit of a pain. Gallon works, Hulklin will work, although with those buffs maybe a little bit more annoying. Cosmic Ghost Rider really works because of the extra crit damage, the use of heavies. If you build up him nicely, then he'll absolutely shred him. Medusa can work. It will get rid of Warlock's armor break. But I end up using both Null and Gallon for this fight, and it really doesn't take very long. I think I even try and give Quicksilver a go just because why not? His Whiplash may take down some damage. But yeah, there's quite a lot of champs who work for this. It's not too tricky. If you are going to use your Magneto, I did recommend removing Suicides if you do run them, or just removing them in general for this fight, because as you guys know, if you've got this far, you'll know that Warlock is very is basically a massive pain. So if you've got too many buffs or debuffs on you, then he will cause you to degenerate. I would also say champs who heavily rely on their SP3 aren't worth bringing in as well because of the redlining. So, your Magnetos, although he can sometimes bypass it, or really any other champ who significantly benefits by throwing an SP3. As you can see here, I was going to do the SP3, SP2 sort of or SP3, SP1 rotation with Quicksilver, but then I realized that I actually cannot get I can't get to an SP3. So yeah, champs who have strong SP2s like a Cosmic Ghost Rider, like a Hercules, are really the main ones. I would recommend this over Cable unless you have some good champs who you think would counter him, like a Doctor Doom. Warlock would actually counter him, but I only have Warlock as my tech champ, so he actually doesn't. I don't want to constantly be using revives on him when I would much rather fight Warlock than Cable. And at the end of the day, is such an easier fight than the Cable, in my opinion. So I would say that this is definitely the easiest path for this quest. And that is going to do it for 7.3.5. One more video left in the Chapter 3 run-through is the Big Kang fight. That video will be up tomorrow, I hope. If not, it will be up soon. It has been recorded. It will just depend on my upload schedule. But I think that it will probably be the one tomorrow, and I hope you guys will really enjoy that. If you are enjoying these videos, please leave a like, please comment, please do subscribe if you are new. That I would really appreciate that. Obviously, trying to hit that 1,000 subscribers. That would be absolutely amazing. So obviously a long way to go yet, but every subscriber counts, and I really do appreciate that. I also love seeing the comments on these videos as well. That is always nice to have something to engage with. So yeah, leave a comment as well if you're around. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one, and have a good day. Goodbye.